right. Well, thank you all for joining. My name is Anthony Ruano, Director of Channel here at Nuso. What we're going to be talking about today is our Blue SIP trunking cloud auto attendance and cloud voicemail. Okay, so a couple different purposes that each one of those are going to flow for you. Some of you may or may not be aware of the Blue SIP trunking platform that we released about a year and a half, 2 years ago. The SIP trunking is SIP trunking, right? But what we did was we had the ability to actually build out something with a little bit more security features and functionality inside of it. So just to briefly go over what we'll talk about today, the Blue SIP trunking overview, cloud auto attendant, cloud voicemail for SIP trunks. And then if you've been on any call with me for the last 6 months or so, you know I'm going to talk about Nuso Flex as well. All right, so we'll jump right into it. So Nuso Blue SIP trunking, now fully integrated with cloud auto attendance and cloud voicemail. We've enhanced some fraud detection functionality on there as well. That's part of the additional security functions that we have. Another thing that we've done is an international, now it's a country selector, right? So before, if we wanted to go ahead and open up international calling for one of your customers, well, at that point, we'd have to open up the entire world pretty much. Now they can say, well, we want to open it up, but we only want to call cell phone numbers in the UK. Okay. Perfect. So just based on kind of locations on where we're trying to make or where you want to be able to make those calls out to, that's what we're able to open up and nothing else does. So that's a really huge feature and add-on that we've thrown onto there. And it really simplifies things. And again, things that we're trying to avoid is just, excessive international calling on a fraud basis to countries that shouldn't be called. And now your customer can kind of just name their game, right? So we just want to call to the Bahamas, for example. And that's the only place that will do it. And then, of course, that network is backed up by our Nuso Flex product, which all of our SIP trunking, as well as other hosted products, as well as Microsoft Teams, SIP Connect, and our Zoom calling integration are all backed by Nuso Flex, which I'll go over in a few slides here right before we get into the actual live system here. Our new cloud auto attendant. All right, so this was designed primarily for failover redundancy. We are able to use this as your main auto attendant for an on-premise PBX if we needed to, which what we can do is we can jump on a call after this if you do have any instances where you think that would make sense as using it as a primary auto attendant. But once I go into the live system, I'll show you how that's going to work for redundancy. It includes multi-level menus, a full media library for your recordings. Okay, so again, let's say that they wanted to have something for a snow day and a closed day and a holiday. They can already have all of those recordings preset in the system and just go ahead and load those in as needed. If they did not want to record their own voice, they can't find somebody in the office and they need to spin something up on the fly, it does have a text-to-speech engine built in to it as well. Really easy call routing setup that we have for it. Again, we'll walk that through once we go into the live system. I do have some screenshots on the next slide here, just so you can get an idea of what we're going to be looking at. And you can access it from anywhere. So this is actually living inside of the management portal that you're already using. Okay, it's 100% web-based. Your customers can also have access to the auto attendant. Okay, so if you wanted to just give them access into that auto attendant, we're able to do so. Okay. So just a quick glance of how that's going to look. So these are the auto attendants. This is an account that we have with 3 different auto attendants on here. One's a failover, one's Route 66 haulage, and then we have Matt's auto attendant. Okay. It'll show you where it's targeted by. So that's the phone number that's actually pointing in to that auto attendant, what the current status of it is. So is it published? Is it new? Is it in a draft state? If it already has a greeting. Okay, so again, taking some of the guesswork out of this stuff. And then on the menus, what it's doing. So this one is showing us here, option 1's going to a voicemail, right? And then option 2 through 4, or option 3 through pound, pretty much this is just exiting out of that queue. Then we have on the second auto attendant submenus. Okay, so this is the submenus that I spoke to you about. Also playing a recording, sending it to a voicemail, submenus, so on and so forth. And I'll go through all the settings that we can do after as well. And same thing with Matt's auto attendant. Here's how an auto attendant would actually look. Okay, so here's your greeting, optional, of course, what your prompts are going to be. You'll have a transcript here. Okay, so this will actually show you what you're typing into it. So you already know what your greeting is. So if you just needed to copy and paste that, you're able to do so. Once we start seeing the routes here, so let's say option 1, what we're doing is we're sending that to an internal phone number, and it's going out to this DID. Okay, and now once we go into the live system, we'll be able to do a little bit more clicking around, and I'm not just pointing at the screen here for you. Second part of this is going to be the cloud voicemail functionality that we've included into this. So again, voicemail for redundancy. It'll include voicemail to email, visual voicemail, voicemail transcription, customized greetings, and you can actually share this mailbox. We're able to send to multiple email addresses, one email address, depending on what the customer wants, and then they can continue to add mailboxes onto the system as it goes. But again, we'll go into a live system here and get a better walkthrough on that. Here's a bit of the look on it. So these are all these shared mailboxes that we have, and then just the name, extension number on the system, notification settings, if we're doing transcription, and all that fun stuff. Before we go into the live system, for those of you that don't know what Nuso Flex is, we'll be able to go ahead and cover that here. So more redundancy, and you're going to keep hearing us say that. That is the name of the game nowadays. So we're focused on security, redundancy, and ease of deployment are some of the main things. But on this one, what we're going to do is we're going to stick to redundancy. So we have, as Nuso, 3 software-defined origination networks. Okay, so that's where you're seeing Flex 1, Flex 2, and Flex 3. Okay, and what this is doing, it's actually providing inbound call redundancy. Okay. Let's say, for example, you have a customer or yourself, and you're calling into Joe's Pizza Shop, okay, in Miami, Florida. You're calling from your Verizon cell phone. You're not getting through. There's a problem with that route, okay? The person next to you is using an AT&T cell phone. Those calls are going fine. So what we do, and this is all based on machine learning, there is still a human, though, that's going to press the button. So like that, we don't have calls going from one network to another. Within about a minute or so, I'm able to port that number internally to a secondary network of ours and still have those calls routing through. Okay. Very similar analogy I like to use is Google Maps. Okay. So you put an address 123 Main Street. It's going to show you that there's an accident, and it's automatically going to reroute your car to take that route so that you can get to that destination as quickly, as safely as possible. That's what we're doing with the phone calls. Okay. So that's just a quick analogy on what the Nuso Flex product is. So again, that was Nuso Flex. Any more information on that you'd want to hear about, reach out to myself, reach out to your channel account manager. If you do not have a channel account manager, reach out to marketing@nuso.cloud. We'll go ahead and get you set up with someone. They can start to walk you through the products and services that we offer here. Also set up demo accounts for the things that we're going to run through, and you'll have that. So what we're looking at here, okay, this is our SIP dashboard. So this is inside of your management portal. As you can see, new blue SIP updates 11/17 that was released. So you'll have access to these release notes already. So you may go into a customer that has blue SIP trunking or just SIP trunking in general, and you may see these release notes on there. Again, if you don't, reach out to us. We'll make sure we can get you a copy of those. All right. So this dashboard, I have 2 DIDs, and this is our blue SIP trunking. I have unconditional forwarding on. I have unavailable forwarding on. That's going directly to a voicemail. Busy forwarding to voicemail as well, and no answering forwarding is turned off. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my numbers and targets. Okay, so here I'm showing that I have two phone numbers. Okay, 314-928-1076. Status is that phone number is enabled. That's currently hitting an auto attendant, which is the Route 66 haulage attendant. Okay, so if I wanted to go ahead and click on my auto attendants here, I'd click on the left side. And here I'm able to see my auto attendants. This is exactly from the screenshot that I showed you before. Okay, so we're going to go to Route 66. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And now here I have all the settings for my actual auto attendant. Okay, so when they call in, Route 1, it's hitting a submenu and it's going for the submenu in Barstow. Okay. When they click option 1 through that submenu, okay, here what it's doing, it's routing a call out to 314-928-1077. You're able to have additional recordings here as well, okay, for that submenu, and this is what it says, right? So it's actually going to break down the transcript of that recording for you. So Barstow Depot options, to get a haulage quote, press 1, to amend or cancel a booking, press 2, so on and so forth. Number 5, that's one of our voicemails, which are here on the left-hand side as well. Okay, so again, we're not really piecing anything together here. These are actually built into the platform. And what that does, it just makes it for a smoother customer and end caller experience when they're calling in. Makes it much more seamless than routing to things that are outside of the network. Okay. Go back really quick here to a second auto attendant. So we're going to go back to our auto attendants tab on the top. Then we'll go to Matt's auto attendant. This is a pretty simple one. Single layer. Option 1, routing to a phone number. Option 2, replay a prompt. But if I wanted option 2 to do something else, I can go ahead and hit this drop down and it'll replay a prompt. I can transfer to an internal number, an external number, play a message, send to another auto attendant, send to a voicemail, send to a submenu, end the call, exit to main menu, and if this was a submenu, you would actually exit to the parent menu from there, so that would just be the one on top. Okay, so again, pretty nice functionality for what it is. It's priced right. So we can go over that with your channel account manager based on the pricing, but it's a really nice add-on to give for just a bit more redundancy, especially for the on-prem systems. Some of them may be failing a bit more than before. Maybe they're out of hard drive space for their auto attendants or their voicemails. We can go ahead and work on those for them. All right. Next step here, or next feature, I'm sorry, we're going to go ahead and look at the shared voicemails. Okay, so again, I have a ton of different voicemail boxes here, ranging everywhere from extension 1001 to 1010, actually on the bottom there. But we'll go ahead and hit the Oklahoma one. So I'm going to hit the Oklahoma voicemail. So on my right-hand side here, the name, the extension, notification settings. Okay, so these are the settings when it's going to go to voicemail, voicemail to email. I'm sorry, you can enter in multiple email addresses on here. So I'll go ahead and just enter mine in as well. All right, now that's been saved there. What do I do when the voicemail hits? Okay, do I want to leave the voicemail as new? Do I want to mark it as read? Do I want to archive it, or do I want to move it to trash? Okay, that's what it's going to do after it actually sends me out that email notification with the audio file and the transcription. All right, then on the bottom here, storage settings, okay, retention in days, if we do have transcription on there, and what the size limit of recordings is, right? So it's going to be whichever hits first, either the size limit or the retention days. Under greetings here, so voicemail greeting, as you can see, we have all these extra greetings that we had on here, because I have them in my library of greetings, so that makes it really helpful for me. Any busy greeting that I have, if I wanted to add another, or if I just wanted to read the transcription on that. If I wanted to add new, I can upload a file. I can record it directly from my computer's microphone, okay, or I can do the text-to-speech engine. Then finally, what users have access to this voicemail? Okay, so Nigel Smith, He's on here. He's the owner of that voicemail box. Anthony Ruanos with an S. That's how I just differentiate it internally here. I'm also able to access this via my portal. Okay, so if I was an end user logging into this, which I'll hop into that screen now, you'll see how I'm able to actually access those voicemails there. All right. So from here, I'm just going to jump into a different tab. This is my user dashboard. I also have this for fax as well. So this may look very familiar to you folks, but this is showing my fax on the left-hand side. And then it's giving me 2 shared voicemail boxes that I have. Okay, so I have Oklahoma, which is extension 1002. It's giving me 1 total message that I have on there. Same thing on the general mailbox. I don't have any messages, but on my left-hand side, if I were to click on Oklahoma, which I clicked into this earlier, if not, it would actually show me a red bubble there that I have a message. It's going to actually give me that message so I can play that here. If I hit these 3 bars, it'll actually open up what the transcription for that voicemail is. Now, keep in mind, this has already been sent to you via email. Okay, so this is just a secondary visual voicemail. The reason we did that, some folks rather use this than their email. It's totally fine. We've created both options for you. And then we have some more actions. Do we want to download this? Do we want to mark it as unread? Do we want to archive it? Or do we actually want to move that over to trash? Okay, so gives you a few options on what you're able to do with that voicemail. Same thing, if we were going to go ahead and look at the general mailbox here, this one has no messages on it, but we have those there. Okay, and then with the drop down, it'll just show us inbox, archived, or trash, or I can move to my other mailboxes from the drop down. So and we're trying to make it as accessible as possible for everybody to actually be going in there and checking their messages, right? We want to make it, we really want to simplify that. Is there any questions so far on what we have covered here? Okay, I have one. How do I know if I'm on blue SIP trunks? That's a fantastic question. I was actually going to get to that here. So reach out to your channel account manager. What we'll do is we'll actually take a look at your customers' accounts, see if they're on blue or orange. In that time as well, we will be able to discuss what the certified platforms on the blue SIP trunking is. We've narrowed it down to the majority of PBXs, but there may be some that are just not on the compatibility list yet. Doesn't mean that the SIP trunks will not work there, but it's just we would probably have to do some testing on that just to make sure. But again, we've been running that platform for about 2 years now. So if you've done SIP trunks within the last 2 years, very high chance and probability that you're on blue SIP trunking already. If you know that you're not, again, reach out to myself, marketing at Nuso, or your channel account manager. What we want to do is we actually want to get you set up with some demo trunks. Like that, we can set you up with a demo auto attendant, demo voicemails on there, so you can really get a full feel for how those new features are working and how they're going to benefit your customers and yourself, right? Because it may be something that you'd want to throw into your office too. So. Oh, and I just got one here into the marketing email. Is there a limit to how many auto attendants we can have? No. You can have 1 or 1,000. Totally up to you on how many you want to put on there. And that is it. Again, thank you everyone for your time, and we will be talking soon.